Our session today is becoming a teacher. So it's that bit from when teachers have met the standard for provisional registration. What we're going to do today is talk through that journey through to gaining full registration and being awarded the standard or meeting the standard for full registration. So that whole induction process and the new platform that we have introduced and launched in August for provisionally registered teachers. We're going to talk about that as well as we go through and the experience that PRTs, as I will refer to them, provisionally registered teachers, will have as they go through. I think we all recognise that it's such an important part of a teacher's journey, that initial stage, that bit of becoming a teacher. And it's probably at the GTC, it's probably the part that we have most engagement with them, to be honest. We obviously are liaising with our university colleagues in the HEIs. We're liaising there to make sure that we can get as smooth a transition as possible into induction and induction placements. And we have, it's not perhaps continual contact, but I think there's much more communication between ourselves and provisional registrants because they see us as having the answers to many of their questions. Perhaps something we need to consider as we move through a teacher's journey, how we can keep up that relationship as it develops throughout their career. Sorry, I'm just getting the hang of all these different arrows. So at a recent meeting, one of my colleagues, Jennifer, who's on the call, we were talking about different things, and the message that kept coming out as we were talking as a team was, it's all about the standards. And I just felt I had to put that on a slide because it really is our daily business. It's just all about the standards. Everything that we do is about the standards, and I would say none more so than in this early stage of a teacher's career, going from provisional registration through to full registration. So what I've popped up there, what you will all be familiar with, the 5 standards are our suite of professional standards, standard for college registration. I've put the digital version of COPAC, the Code of Professionalism and Conduct, which hopefully most of you have seen on our website. And I've also put the hard copy versions, if you like, of the student code and COPAC, which are probably sitting around in staff rooms somewhere, or perhaps in a cupboard by now, that you may be more familiar with. But the digital version is the one that we would be asking that you look at. So people engaging with these standards have come from all different routes and are working towards full registration. Perhaps the most familiar is the route qualified in Scotland. So we have maybe over 3,000 students who are coming into induction and are opting either for the teacher induction scheme or for the flexible route. And that's the biggest group that we have each year, the biggest cohort, if you like, coming on, all starting at the same time. And it's a huge job to get everybody into their placements and started. And as Pauline referred to, it's something that I think over time we've realised that things become outdated, don't they? The backgrounds where students are coming from, it changes, their lifestyles change, the demands of the teaching profession change, the demands of life change. And we need to perhaps have a look at the placement in terms of how that actually works and preferences that students have. Qualified in Scotland, therefore, is the main cohort. But we also have other people who are qualified outside of Scotland who wish to come and teach in Scotland and gain full registration with us. And we have another team of colleagues who look at all of their applications and go into great detail, considering what their experience is, what their qualifications are, and what they can be awarded, whether it's provisional registration, whether it's full registration, if there's a period of induction that is required. The other group that I'll be talking about today are the group who are looking for additional registration. So they already have full registration in one subject, but they are looking to expand, if you like, their portfolio of registration, and they have provisional registration in a second subject. They also fall into this induction part, or this provisional registration period, where they are working towards full registration in their additional category or subject of registration. And they're a group that perhaps we haven't always had a focus around, but there are so many of them within the system. So what we have been trying to do is to recognise all these different groups and ensure that it's the same high quality experience that everybody has working towards full registration as they go on their journey. One thing to note about the flexible route is anybody teaching outside of Scotland is not eligible for the teacher induction scheme. So they are all on the flexible route, as is anybody in any of our independent schools. They're not eligible for TIS, so they're following the flexible route. So there are huge numbers, as was mentioned earlier, who are following the flexible route. Also worth noting that anybody who is, any provisional registrant who is teaching outside of Scotland still requires to have that sign off, to have that recommendation for full registration made by a currently registered head teacher, somebody who has full registration with us. And that's quite a significant change for those who are teaching outside of Scotland. So it can't be somebody who is not familiar with the standards, and that's really, really important to us. That the people who are making the declaration for full registration are familiar with the standards, they've lived the standards, they're up to date with them, and they make that recommendation for full registration. We currently have slightly more PRTs on the flexible route than on TIS. And probably one of our biggest barriers around that is it can be difficult for employers to actually know who's on the flexible route. And I speak with firsthand experience about that. When I was in local authority, you got this lovely list of TIS probationers, as we called them. But flexible route was so much more about them making themselves known and often just kind of being appointed to schools to fill in posts, to take on a temporary post. And actually, as a probation manager, as an employer, it was difficult to know who the flexible route probationers were. So we hope, and I'll mention this as we go through, we hope that we have improved that experience or are improving that experience for flexible route provisional registrants, and that our new platform will absolutely help with that and will help you as an employer to be able to identify them and to give them the support that they need as they go through. So with all these different groups, what we identified was that there was a need for a universal resource. Because I would imagine that you all have experience of trying to manage paper profiles, online profiles, people who have started on paper, then have moved to online, and vice versa. They're all been slightly different, not quite sure what's gone before, what's coming next. So what we hope we have done is created a universal resource, which is the same for everybody. Every provisional registrant that is using it will have the same route through. And as an employer, it will hopefully make it a much more familiar process for you. You'll get to know it and you'll know exactly what's been before, what's coming next, and it'll be easier to pick up as you do from year to year. So what we have been working hard on, as has been mentioned already, is our new MyGTCS platform. It's been a very collaborative project, to the point I thought I would even use service design, which is not normally a phrase that I would use coming, from a school background, but I've been so immersed in this process. I thought I would share our approach to service design, which has been very much in two parts. And I thought for me, this just kind of summed it up. What's really important to us is that we build the right thing. And to do that, we've had to do some research and we've been looking at the design. But the most important thing is that we build the thing right. And that's the stage that we have been working really, really hard on most recently. So we're confident that we've now got the right thing and we've built the thing right, and we've launched it in August, just past there. And that first part of the new MyGTCS has been the profile for all of our provisionally registered teachers. So the new profile has been launched in August to everybody new who's come on as a provisional, a PRT, provisionally registered teacher in August. And it's also been launched for those who are existing PRTs who may have had a paper profile before or who may have had an online profile before and for whatever reason are needing a bit more time in order to be awarded full registration. And we have been migrating, we have been copying their information across into the new system so that nothing is lost, nothing at all. But if we thought the easiest way to do it was that everybody has started on this new profile as of August. So to get there, we were very aware that internally within GTC, we have heaps of knowledge. That's perhaps not, it was the way that it came to my mind, was just heaps was the right word. We have so much knowledge about how the previous system worked. I think because, colleagues within GTC, we've got people who have been on TIS, we've got people who've been on the flexible route, people who, like myself, even before TIS, have completed what was called the alternative route. We've had people who've been probation managers, supporters, who've been the head teachers that have signed off. So there's a lot of internal knowledge that we've been able to pull on, as well as all of the data that we have just about how well the previous system worked and things that could be improved from feedback that we've had throughout. But obviously we've had to go out externally to stakeholders and to partners. And I see many people on the call today who we have been fortunate enough to engage with, so that we could hopefully build something that kept all the good bits, if you like, that recognised how difficult change is, but also recognised that some of the parts had just become outdated. And I think the other message that we were sharing was that for us, looking at the profiles, it was TIS focused in many parts. And I think that was the experience that we had. And indeed, from the survey around flexible route registrants, they were getting the short straw, really, around support, and I think just employers being aware that they've been on this induction route and that they have the same needs as somebody on TIS. What we are not saying at all is that a flexible route PRT has the reduced timetable or must have that supporter. What we are doing really is just raising the profile of the flexible route PRTs so that hopefully employers, head teachers in schools are much more aware of people on the flexible route than they have been previously, and that it's easier for them to actually see the whole journey that a flexible route PRT has been on and what is still required. One of the concerns that I think across the system we've had has been previously that where the TIS model has been really robust in completing the profile, there's been a danger that it's been possible for somebody on the flexible route to almost have slipped through in terms of they could opt out of TIS at any time if things were perhaps getting a bit tough, and they could move to the flexible route. And there was a chance there that life would just get so busy in a school that they might manage to get through without being the highest quality fully registered teacher that we are looking for. And I think that's something that we have all had slight concerns about. Not saying that always happens, of course it doesn't. We have many flexible route PRTs who have done a fantastic job in gaining full registration. What we're trying to do is just to catch the instances where it's not worked quite right. So hopefully this new system will do that. The other thing that has been really important for us to emphasize is that we're moving away from counting days. So I think before, when I think back to when I first joined the GTC, there were a whole team of us working around the profiles, and we seemed to spend a ridiculous amount of time counting the number of days that a PRT had completed between August and Christmas. Oh no, they'd been off for 2 weeks, so we had to take that off. And then what had they done if they start from January to Easter, and then they went off sick? And that's never been the most important factor. It's about the quality of the PRT coming through. It's about them having met every area of the standard for full registration. And what we have done, we hope, is that we have brought that focus right back to the standards. And so a reviewer, a head teacher, when they are making that recommendation, it's within our policy that yes, they should have normally completed a full school session. So that's normally 190 days, but it could be a couple of days less, it could be a few days more. What we're asking is that the recommendation is made when the time is right, when the PRT has met the standard for full registration, and that's the responsibility that we are giving, if you like, to the viewers to make that call. So that's how we've set it out at the beginning. Our engagement, though, is ongoing. What we are doing at the moment, I suppose, is that we've launched it. We are giving a bit of time for things to embed and just to kind of settle a little bit, if you like, as we go through. We're trying to respond to things that are coming in, without people feeling that we're just not responding, that we're ignoring them. We appreciate just how difficult change is. So what we're trying to say is we're here, we're there for you. We hear the queries that are coming in, and the developments, our support will be ongoing throughout this year for PRTs, for supporters, for reviewers, for employers, for probation managers, everybody that's involved, and hopefully we'll get the right thing, by the end of this year. But I think we're off to a great start. And thanks so far for all that everybody has done to get us to that place. The vision for the MyGTCS platform is much bigger than just the profile. And we, in our third session this afternoon, Victoria and I will talk very much about professional update and MyPL and where that fits within the new MyGTCS. But you'll see here, I thought I would just share what our vision is. So the universal platform, a great advantage is that the MyGTCS will be able to be accessed from mobile phones. We have been calling for that for years, or asking for that for years. So it's fantastic to see that there. And it just makes it so much more user-friendly that when people are at a professional learning event or whatever, they can actually just get their mobile and update things as they go, whether it's their profile or MyPL. So that's great. We're really, really pleased about this. Standards are there throughout, so nothing new, but we've probably raised the profile of them even more. We have shared our vision of trusted teaching, we hope, through this as well. So our strategic plan, our vision through our strategic plan has been trusted teaching, and where you will see that, an example of that is in the declaration, is in the sign off. So we are absolutely trusting of our head teachers to make that declaration, to make that recommendation for full registration. It's not something which we need to police or to manage. We are handing that over. We trust that the correct processes will be followed, and that the right decisions will be made at the end of the day. We've put in as much automation as possible to make things as easy as possible where we can, and we'll continue to improve, to listen and to improve the platform as we go through. Sorry, I'm just clicking away here. The project itself has been very collaborative, and for us as an organisation, we hope what we have modelled and what's becoming a familiar way of working now is a collaborative approach. So our project team has been made up. We have delivery, who are people that you're probably very familiar with. So they make the things happen in terms of they get the responses out, the communications, they manage all the details around the profiles and looking at why things are not working and you know what needs to happen. We have our friends and colleagues in digital who have this whole overview of the project and use all this language, to be honest, that I generally don't understand, but they've been so great at just simplifying things and bringing it to my level, if you like, and using speak that I understand from a school background, which I then hope makes it easier for us in education standards to communicate with yourselves in schools and just in colleges and in the education system. So it's been very collaborative, and it means that you probably get responses and communications from many of us across the organisation. But that collaboration has gone externally as well, and we've probably become more collaborative as we've gone through. There's been a huge pressure of time as the launch date in January became closer and closer. And appreciate the time that you've all given in such busy worlds within education to help us to hopefully create the right project. So thank you for your collaboration in this. Our approach to engagement right from the beginning has been about being flexible. But the two elements, obviously, which are at the absolute top of our agenda, were that we have had to listen. We wanted to listen, both in conversations that we have had, email responses that we've had, and also from the wider system. So when you have perhaps gone and talked to others as groups, that information is then shared back to us, which has been really, really helpful and has been ongoing from way before the start of the profile launch and is still ongoing now. And it's a great gauge for us to sort of measure how things are going. We've been talking to you in different formats, and again, that collaborative approach. Many from our digital team have been speaking to stakeholders in education and standards. We have been on an ongoing basis, either talking to groups of probation managers, or we've had individual comms going out to smaller groups or to individuals. And that's ongoing, and it's been really, really important. As we knew at the beginning, the PRTs have been the easy bit because they don't know anything different. You know, in terms of that new cohort that have come on, they arrive, as you will have found in schools, just with all the enthusiasm. Let me at it. What do you need me to do? How does it work? Great. This is what I do. I've got a question. I'll go and ask my supporter. I'll go and ask my probation manager. I'll drop GTC a line. And that's all gone pretty smoothly. The bit which is, I think, more difficult is for those of us that are so familiar with the old system. And I put myself into this category in terms of, I can see even within our team at the GTC, I'm so familiar with how things have worked in the old profile. I almost have to think of the connection about, right, so meeting the standards in the new profile, what was that in the old profile? And the lovely thing for the PRTs is that they don't have to do that. They just accept what meeting the standards is asking them. So that's been probably where most of our engagement has gone in terms of speaking to people who are familiar with the old system, making sure that we take people with us and that things are really clear, because we realise that, you know, you're the people who are then speaking to all the PRTs, and we want that clarity, of course. So we see you as our experts, and our focus, a large chunk of our focus has been about taking our experts with us through the system. Our intention has been that we will create the right resources which will guide all users through the new MyGTCS. And our hope will be that there's then no additional training that will actually be required, which in the long term will save both you time and resource when you are introducing your PRTs to the profile system, to the new MyGTCS. We've got many links on the website. We have resources which are within the profile itself. So if you have a link to a profile from a PRT, once you're actually within the profile, you will see lots of resources within there. As I say, many are also on our website. It's not a closed book. We are also developing things as we go. We had a meeting with probation managers earlier in September, and we've got a mailing ready to come out to you this week, which will take on board questions that people had, which again will share with you updated answers and hopefully give you that clarity and that kind of step-by-step guide that people are looking for. We've got resources that are specific to PRTs. We've got resources for supporters, for reviewers, and also for probation managers. So hopefully there's something there for everybody. And if we haven't quite got it right, then, again, keep feeding back. As one of my colleagues said, there was almost a temptation when the new platform was launched in August. We almost felt like we wanted to go into hibernation at that point. Maybe I shouldn't be saying that, but that's sort of what it felt. It was kind of like, right, we've got across the line at August, but in a way, that's where the hardest work has then started in terms of, okay, it's launched, that's gone really well. And then lots and lots of feedback came in, questions about things. And obviously, we want this to be as easy as possible for every user. So unfortunately, we've not been able to hibernate. We've actually been quite the opposite and really busy. And hopefully you feel that we are listening and providing you with what you need as we go through. So this is the new MyGTCS platform. I've not put this up expecting you to be able to see. It's just really to show you that's a page from a profile. Okay, it's basic. But that's what the profile exists. Okay, and we refer to it as MVP1 internally. MVP2 is the next part, which will be early 2026. But this is the universal tool and journey for users. And what I've put down the right hand side is all the different areas which have been launched in this first part, which are nearly there. And you will see from that we really have tried to keep the successful things from the last profile system, from the last induction period or the existing induction period that we've had. And what we've tried to do is build a new system to enhance, not just maintain the quality of our fully registered teachers, our newly fully qualified teachers, but to enhance them as they meet the standard for full registration. So much of the language is the same. Some of the language has changed, and the reason for the change in language is not necessarily that anything is being done differently. It's because it was quite TIS focused. So because it's a universal tool, we've changed some of the language. So for example, on the teacher induction scheme, you very much have a supporter, but on the flexible route, you're not guaranteed a supporter. However, we would hope that PRTs following both routes will have professional discussions. TIS are likely to have them with their supporter. Flexible route PRTs might have them with a stage partner, they might have them with a faculty head, they might have them with a colleague in the staff room. So supporter wasn't particularly appropriate for them, so we have called them professional discussions. It's changes like that you will see within the new system. So again, very easy for new PRTs to come on board with it, but it's a change for those of us that are perhaps familiar with the older system. It's universal, so hopefully we have made it user-friendly for everybody, and it's not TIS specific anymore. All the same process for everybody. The most important part in this whole profile, I would say, is the focus on the recommendation for full registration, which is made via a signed declaration by the reviewer. So that's the head teacher. In exceptional cases, it could be somebody other than the reviewer, but we're asking that, or when we talk about the reviewer, we're basically talking about a head teacher with current full registration with the GTCS. Okay, now it's a big deal making a recommendation for full registration, and that's what we are really trying to get across. So although the actual process is simple in terms of ticking a box, what we have set out is a declaration which is saying to the person, as they make that recommendation, have you considered this? Have you considered this? Have you considered this? And basically, if the answer is no to any of those, we're pointing them in the direction of things that they might want to go and consider before they actually make that recommendation. Our trust is that the reviewer will consider all of these things within the declaration, that they will make the declaration for full registration at the right time. And as I referred to earlier, that might be slightly early, a couple of days, short of the 190. It might be a slightly longer period. We trust that they will choose the right time in which to make that recommendation, so that we get the highest quality teachers fully registered, working with us. The PRT also makes a declaration, and what is new within that declaration is that we have brought in COPAC as well. So where implicitly before we have reference, if you like, or we implicitly have reference, to COPAC within being a teacher in Scotland, because we talk about, values and ethics. What we have now in the declaration is that a PRT is assuring us that they are aware, they have an awareness of COPAC. So it's great to see that in there within the declaration, just trying to join things up a bit. And the reviewer is also signing to say that they know that the PRT is aware of COPAC. So that's a great step forward as well. So that's just a little bit about the actual platform, the actual profile, and what that looks like. So what does this actually mean for users? As I've touched on, there are three main groups: the PRTs, the reviewers and supporters, and probation managers. That's where our focus has gone in terms of support and guidance that we have created. I've probably covered this already. So the PRTs, just that little bit universal tool. The PRT also, it's their information. I think it's really important that I stress that. It's their profile, it's their information. They decide who they share it with. So it's their responsibility to keep it all up to date, but also to create those associations. Previously, we had probation managers working furiously in the summer holidays to create the profiles, get all the information into them, get them ready for PRT starting. It's now the PRT who makes those links with, here's my supporter, here's my reviewer, I'm going to invite them into my profile. And once they have done that, that's when you as a supporter or a reviewer will be able to see the profile and everything that they are entering into their profile. The other option that a PRT has, and this is all PRTs, they will have the option to link with their probation manager. Now, what we've done is we've set that as default so that it's at yes. So it would actually require a PRT to say, no, I'm not going to engage with my probation. I don't want to share this with my probation manager. At that point, it doesn't quite come up flashing, why are you doing this? But that is the sort of thing. We've got messages coming up saying, do you realise that if you don't share your profile with your probation manager, this is what you're missing out on, basically. So we hope that we will have encouraged everybody to engage or to associate their profile with their probation manager, as well as supporter and reviewer. Obviously, supporter and reviewer are mandatory, because otherwise they can't actually get that recommendation made at the end of their induction. In terms of reviewers and supporters, as I say, they'll be able to go in and see the profile. What you will really like, though, as a supporter or a reviewer, is that there's now a really clear display of all the profiles that have been to which you are associated. So you're not going to lose track of anything. When you go in, you can see them all. So I'm thinking of somebody who works in a large secondary school. You're going to probably have several profiles that are linked to you. You're going to be able to see them all. You'll be able to filter them into flexible route or TIS. For the first time, you're going to be able to see in that list flexible route PRTs, which is a huge step forward for flexible route PRTs. It's great to see that. And you'll be able to go in and see the progress and see the profiles and see how their progress is tracking as they go through the induction. You'll be able to see progress reports, you'll be able to see what's gone before, you'll be aware of what's still to come. And obviously you'll be aware when the declaration or the request for a declaration for full registration is submitted. Similarly for probation managers, and again, I appreciate this varies greatly across local authorities as to depending on the size of the local authority, but probation manager, if the PRT has chosen to share their profile with the probation manager, which we hope they all will, you will be able to see all of those profiles and again, we'll be able to filter them. Also worthwhile me saying that if a PRT is not making satisfactory progress, and if they have decided not to share their profile, once the teaching block comes in saying that their progress is not satisfactory, then that profile will automatically be shared with with the probation manager, because we recognise then that the need is important, that profile is for the benefit of the PRT is very important for that profile to be shared with the probation manager so that the right support and challenge can be put in place. So just worth me mentioning that as well. There's also, I think before when I referred to sort of automation, there's quicker ways through the profile in terms of, there's a wee icon for email within there that the probation manager can just click on that and immediately it sends an email to the PRT without having to go away and look them up in their address book and things like that. So hopefully it's making it easier for all users. But that's been, I would say, I'm sure probation managers would agree with me that that's all been a work in progress, and I'm confident that we've now got it to a much better place for probation managers, and we're continuing to engage to move it on where we can. So we're still talking. We've probably always talked, don't we? We're still talking. We're definitely still listening. Whether that's directly with our education standards team, whether that's coming in through delivery and the general inquiries that come in there. We all talk to each other internally as well, or through digital. And it's great. We have project meetings, regular project meetings twice a week, and we share everything about the project and how it's going, what we need to do next. Resources are online. Within the profile, there's guidance on the website, and we have ongoing meetings with probation managers throughout this year. We've got our next one planned, and then we're just waiting to see what the need is as we go on. So far, just to be specific, we've got 12,147 emails have gone out inviting PRTs to on board with the new profile system. And we've got nearly 7,000 of them have done so. So that's great. And that number is just creeping up all the time. So 7,000 people have successfully already created their new profile and are in there making their different associations. And any issues or any challenges that have come around about that have been forwarded on to our delivery team, and they're quick at sorting those out. So looking ahead, the next stage of the launch will be early in 2026, and Victoria and I are going to chat to you after lunch about that. We've done a lot of reflection internally within GTC. We know what's gone well. We are aware of what could have gone better. There's been a lot of learning, there's been a lot of sharing of successes, and we want to build on those in time, ready for the launch in 2026. So I suppose we'd like to say watch this space, and we will be continuing to engage with you as you move forward to early 2026 and what comes next. But luckily for you, what actually comes next, did you like the way I segued into that? It's now time for a screen break. You'll be required to leave this link and to join the new link back at 1 o'clock for session 3, which is being a teacher. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you found the session useful. Thanks.